Hello, good evening. Baruch Hashem. What a tremendous week. Last Thursday, we had the Chassan and the family, and Baruch Hashem. And Rosh Chodesh Elul is coming. Baruch Hashem, a lot to talk about. Let's start with the story about Shem Kodesh. And we'll see what story it is that go. This is the minig of the Baal Shem Kodesh was to bring close the simple people that Yerushalayim and Baal Shem Tov liked them a lot, and we know that this is one of the importance of the mission is about Shem Kodesh is, to get together, Klal Israel, which basically during his time was separating almost to two separate nations, the people who could learn and the simple people, and which were getting lost. And the Baal Shem HaKodesh put them together by being Mekar of the simple people. And so there were a lot of people, Baruch Hashem, that loved the Baal Shem Tov, got close to him. And the great Talmid of the Baal Shem HaKodesh were tzaddikim, gainim, the people that learn about Baal Shem HaKodesh is they said that I think it was one of the Poiskei Dor of their generation. I can't remember who he was. That he was zeicher to be Poiskei Dor Mishamayim, because he said that he once came to the Baal Shem Kodesh during, I think, a regular Maariv or whatever it is, that he came there together with Baal Shem and his Talmidim, and he said that he felt like a goy that is coming to a shul during Yom Kippur. He felt so small in his own eyes, and with this he was zeicher to be become Poiskei Dor. So these are Talmid of Baal Shem Tov, great tzaddik and goinim. They were not happy about this hanoga. Many times the Baal Shem Tov would send his Talmidim to learn from simple people, different inyanim, like Tmimis, Bitochen, Munah Pshut, Avos Yisrael. Still, it was very difficult for them to accept that with Talmidim. So one time, one of the Shabbos of the summer that really rocked the Talmid of the Talmid of Baal Shem Tov was many guests came for Shabbos. They're very simple people, farmers and innkeepers and so forth and so on. And the Baal Shem Tov was mekar them very much. To one of them, he gave a little bit of wine from his kiddush. Another one, he gave to drink from the cup that he was making kiddush in. The third one, he gave a shtickle from the challah that he made a moitzia. Others gave fish and flesh from his plate. And the minig was by the Baal Shem HaKodesh that the simple people would come to Sudas Shabbos. They would eat on his dish only 2 sudas from the 3. The first suda of Leil Shabbos and Shalosh sudas before Shabbos went out. The second suda in the morning was just for his Talmidim, the Chevra Kadisha, and the other people were not, all the guests were not allowed to come in there, not even to stand from afar and look. So that's why the other guests, the simple guests of that Shabbos, after they ate, so the Shabbos, they went to the Shul, the Baal Shemtov, the time of the second Suda, and being that they were really the simple people of that time, is we cannot even understand, how simple they were in those times. And the only thing they knew is how to say Chumash, Sesam Tilim. So each one started saying either Chumash or Tilim, whatever, where he's held. So when the Baal Shem Tov was sitting in his second Suda, he put his Talmidim in a specific order that he had for each and every one of them. He started saying the Torah, and Talmidim was sitting there and were like sitting in Gan Eden, and rejoicing the Tov Chesed that HaKadosh Baruch Hu did with them. They were zoche to be together with Baal Shem Tov during the Suda. While they were there, some of the Talmidim were, they're thinking like, why is Baal Shem Tov in Mekayah, these simple people? They have absolutely no notion. They don't understand what the Baal Shem Tov is saying. So suddenly the face of the Baal Shem Tov changed. So the place of Baal Tshuva standing, Tzaddikim Gmurim cannot stand. There are two ways in Avodas Hashem. One is Avodas Tzaddikim, the other one is the derech of Avodah Baal Tshuva. And the Avodah of simple people is the Madrega of Baal Tshuva, because they're always broken, they're always zerbrochen, they're always small by themselves. And as he was saying that, he started singing Nigunim, and the Talmidim who were thinking these thoughts understood the Baal Shem Kodesh read their thoughts. When finished singing, the Baal Shem Kodesh opened his holy eyes and told them to sing another Nigun and close their eyes. While they were closing their eyes and singing, suddenly all the Talmidim heard amazing voices of unbelievable singing, with voices of supplication and begging. That one was saying, Ribono Shel Olam, Imas Hashem, Imros Tahiros, Kesef Tzaruf, it's a pasuk from Tehillim. And each one in different kind. This is calling in a very bitter voice. Or Tata, that a bird has found a home, and Abba Achaman, bring us to you. Take your anger off us. And the Chevra Kadisha, they heard these voices and the singing of the Tehillim with amazing Ishtapchus Nefesh. They were shaking. Their eyes were closed, but their eyes, the tears came out from themselves. Their heart was absolutely broken from the amazing begging and supplication of the Tehillim that they heard. And each one of them wished upon himself, he was able to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu with this kind of avodah. The Maggid of Mizrich that was there also in this gathering once told his Talmud, the Baal Tanya, that he had such gaguin, such longings to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that he has never ever merited before or after. He says that his shoes were wet from sweat and tears, and tshuva from the bottom of his heart. When they finished singing, the Baal Shem HaKadosh was sitting there with tremendous dveikus, and then he opened his eyes. He said, that singing that you just heard, that's the singing of the simple people that say Tehillim, Tmimus, from the depth of the heart. The Magi that girl from Mizrich said that he had tremendous charata, tremendous regret for thinking about the Baal Shemtov, about being a car of these people. And he made various tikkunim to correct it, and he could not rectify it. Until one night he saw an amazing vision that enabled him to calm down. He saw the chambers in Gan Eden, one specific chamber that the Tinoch Shebas Rabban, the little children, are sitting there learning Chumash. That's the Mag and the Golos of Mizrich, they told Rabbeinu Chodesh that wherever the Maggid of Mizrich would look, it says all the 7 shepherds of Am Yisrael were there, and Rabbeinu said that any story told about the Maggid HaKodesh of Mizrich can be believed because it is right to be that. It is befitting to actually be that way. Because the children are sitting there, Moshe Rabbeinu is sitting at the head of the table, and they're learning Parshas Lech Lecha. And Moshe Rabbeinu explained to them, how is it possible that Avraham Avinu was doubting HaKadosh Baruch Hu? HaKadosh Baruch Hu told him, I'm going to give this land to your offspring. And Avraham Avinu said, how do I know? So Moshe Rabbeinu explained to the babies in Gan Eden. He says, how's it possible? Avraham Avinu was doubting what HaKadosh Baruch Hu was saying. So he says, this is the side of the body. The body interjects its own influence on a person's thoughts. Even a very, very holy body, nevertheless, is still gashmis, and it injects its own. So when the Maggid heard that there could be some thoughts and hearing from the side of a person's body, gashmis, and the thoughts are coming into the mind on their own. So he was able to calm down about thinking about Shem HaKodesh. And Rabbeinu HaKodesh, Rabbi Nachman Breslev, said that HaKodesh Baruch Hu is going to conquer the war only with simple people that say Tehillim, not with people who go with Chochmas and deep Chakiras. And he said the marshal, once a king went, hunting in the forest, and he wore, a layman clothing, so it'll be easier, to get around. People will feel less self-conscious with the king. Suddenly there was a huge storm, rain came down. Everybody ran around, to find a shelter, and they left the king alone. It was a big sakana. And the king was looking for a shelter, and he got lost in the forest, and he was shaking, was shivering it was cold and shivering, and he found a farmer's home. And he came to the house, there was a farmer there. So the farmer saw there's a person who's wet, wet to the bones. So he took the king and he brought him to his house, and he took off his clothes and went next to the fireside, so it would be warm. And he gave him dry clothing, gave him something hot to drink, and a very simple meal to eat. And he stoked up the fireside and let them sleep next to the fireside. It was so sweet. The king enjoyed himself so immensely. He never enjoyed himself so much, because he was so tired and he was so hungry, and it mamish revived him, resuscitated him. Now, all the ministers, they're looking for the king until they found him sleeping by the farmer, and they wanted the king to come home to the palace with them. So the king told them, since you didn't save me, you didn't rescue me, the time of trouble. Only this farmer, he did everything he could in order to make me enjoy my time, enjoy my life. That's why, thanks to him, he will be the one who returned me to the palace with his wagon, with these simple clothes, and he will be the one who puts me back on the throne and put the crown on my head. And the Nimshal, Rabbeinu said, book of the Mashiach, before Mashiach will come, be a big mubble, not of water, but of picorsis, of heresy. And it'll spritz heresies even to the hearts of kosher people. And all the ministers of the king, each one went his own direction. Because with chochmas and trying to understand, to figure out things and philosophizing, it's not possible for a person to be mechazek himself. Only the simple people say Tehillim, they are the ones who will be able to be mechazek themselves against this heresy. And that's why when Mashiach will come, they will be the ones, Bez Hashem, will put the Ketz of Melucha on his head. There's a lot to talk about here. We already know, the greatness we spoke about, the greatness of the tzaddikim, especially the tzaddikim like the Baal Shem HaKadosh, Rabbeinu HaKadosh, that the entire world is in the palms of their hands. Now comes Rosh Chodesh Elul, Hashem, Tuesday and Wednesday in Hashem. The one thing that it is very easy to forget is, while it's true that we cannot do anything without the tzaddik, but it's also true that the tzaddik cannot do anything without us. As Rabbeinu said, you are putting together cement and bricks, and I build palaces from it. Chodesh Elul is time for tshuva. This is a melech basod. The king is in the field. He is close to everyone. This is usually the entire year round. The king is in the palace. You can come to him without special appointments and so forth and so on. The only way, the way that you can actually do this and come to the king is when the king is that much closer. This during the time of Elul, which is Ani L'Doidi V'Doidi Li. This is Shemtov Elul. When we and HaKadosh Baruch Hu come close to one another, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu is open. Now, it's very common to come to speak to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and it's very difficult to open one's mouth. Even when you do, it can last for, 2-3 minutes, whatever. And then you get lost. You don't know who you're talking to. And the point being that we're Gashmis. We're material beings. And we want to feel with our Gashmi senses, the Metzias of Kadosh Baruch Hu. So when we talk to him, we miss the feedback, as it were. One of the inyanim of inventing the telephone is that we should get the notion and understand that it's possible to speak to somebody who is far, far, far away from you, and you can't see him. Sometimes, I'm sure that each of us has found himself speaking on the phone and, really giving a deep discourse and saying things, and only to realize that the call was disconnected, 5 minutes before. And it happened to each and every one of us. And then we call back and says, what's the last thing I told you? Nevertheless, when we were convinced that somebody was listening to us on the other side of the line, even if that person wasn't there, we had no problem in speaking and saying what we were saying, because we believed that he was there. Now, it is true that it's a lot easier to speak to somebody on the phone than it is to speak to Kadosh Baruch Hu. Not just because he answers you, but because there is no Yetzer Hara that prevents you from speaking to somebody on the phone. But there's a Yetzer Hara that prevents you from speaking to a Kadosh Baruch Hu. So whenever you speak to a Kadosh Baruch Hu, the Yetzer Hara takes away the immediacy. The body, the Gashmi's body, throws itself into the conversation, as it were. And you lose your train of thought. And you find yourself alone in a room sitting, and your mind is racing to different places, and you don't know if you're coming or you're going, and you should know that it's okay. That kind of isbedus, when you don't know if you're coming and you're going, and you start talking, and it stops in the middle, and you want to open a sefer and you can't open a sefer. When all those things go, and you feel so lost and so far from Kadosh Baruch Hu, you should know that this is the avodah of the simple people. It used to be that the simple people of yesteryear, they were able to cry and to call out to Kadosh Baruch Hu, and when the world was simpler, as it were. We have a different test. We have a test that the world is filled with distractions. We know everything that's happening on the other side of the world. And it keeps on going. Our nisayon is that it's an amazing effort for us to even get out a single word out of our mouths. Maybe a minute, half a minute. And then either I get lost, suddenly I see somebody around or whatever. This is the avodah with which HaKadosh Baruch Hu will reinstate the Melucha. The Melech Mashiach will come. Yeah, but come on, you're talking about me. Let's be serious. Come on, let's be realistic. This is realistic. This is being realistic. This is what it's all about. You think about tshuva. You try talking to Chodesh Baruch Hu. You set the hill and whatever it is that you can. Learn some mishnayos, whatever it is that you can. Even if you can't do anything, you want to. Even if you can't bring yourself to want to, you want to want. And with this, you're mechazed. The Yetzer Hara can get anywhere. Can get into your thoughts, get into your urges. I'm not talking about, improper thoughts and things like that. That's for sure. That comes from the physical body that the story about Shemtov was talking about. But you can pass a period in which you can't call out to Kodesh Baruch Hu with words, but you can call him with your thoughts. The Yetzer Hara can get there and stop you then also in your own thoughts from calling out to Kodesh Baruch Hu. And you find that you're like, so what's it going to be? I mean, where am I? What am I going to do? I can't even dive into my own thoughts. So what should I do? I'm lost. No, you're not. Kodesh Baruch Hu is way beyond anything that any of us can imagine. We are physical people, so we understand things in physical senses. But Kodesh Baruch Hu is way beyond that. As long as we are holding ourselves together, we are holding ourselves by the tzaddik, and trying to get up, and trying to get up, and trying to get up, this is the avodah of the Baal Tshuva that will bring the Melech and put him on his throne. And that broken heart that you feel, but not being able to do anything in avodas Hashem, let alone do something that has episode geschmack, don't worry about it. As long as you are in the game, you're winning. That's the true avada. I mean, you shouldn't take things for granted. Do the best you can. Push, vaday. But you should know, even when you succeed, even if you don't succeed, to push. It's also good. The first Sichos in Sichos Haran, Rabbeinu says about Tehillim Chizku, Yametz Libchem. Strengthen yourself and fortify your heart. Kol Yachalim Hashem, all those who yearn for Kodesh Baruch Hu. Rabbeinu says, even if they don't actually manage to accomplish anything, they just wish they could. David the Melech already says, wow. Be strong. Keep on keeping on. It's not that it will become, it is avodas Hashem. Bezat Hashem. Let's open up in Sichos Haran and see what is the Sicha for today. Here we go. Sicha 255, Reish Nun Hey. Kal Yoisalita Neitza Le'acha is easier to give an Neitza to someone else than Mila Atzmei. It's easier to give somebody else advice than to give yourself an advice. Because when a person himself needs an advice, it's very difficult. Because in the beginning, you think, okay, I'll do like this. And he has all kinds of assumptions and proof that you're supposed to behave this way. And then he says, okay, that's what I'm going to do. While he was doing this, it comes on his thoughts a different svara, and that actually negates the first svara, the first eitzah, the first advice, the first conduct that he thought about, and he has tremendous svaras and proof, mamash, the opposite. There's ashra zoicha le'etzah shleiman. Fortunate is he who has etzah shleiman, Hashem Yisborach, that comes from Hashem Yisborach in such a way that he should not lose his world for nothing, chas v'shalom. This is why it is imperative for a person to be in contact with his Rav, somebody that he believes in, Talmud Rabbeinu, that he believes in his Yishuv Adas. Because when you ask him for an eitzah that is good for you, it'll be easier for him to give you an eitzah than for him to give himself an eitzah. And when you do what somebody who you believe in is avodas Hashem, you believe that he's doing avodas Hashem be'emes, in truth, and you come to him with emunah, what you get from him, be'ezrat Hashem, is eitzah from Kodesh Baruch Hu. Avada, before you go to him, you ask Hashem that you should get from him a true eitzah, that you will succeed in your life. Very easy for a person to fool himself in this world. But it is not possible for a person, for a prisoner to untie himself. We are, with all our ideas in this, we are like prisoners. We need somebody else to untie us. And the tzaddik is represented by his talmidim, his students. Those who serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu with all their koach. They are mekabel from their rabbis, or come from their rabbis all the way to Rabbeinu. Come to them and ask them. Truth be told, anybody who has shtikl sechel, das amiti, will call his rabbi frequently, just to ask him, how he is or whatever. The reason for it is like this: when you will be in time of need, calling him will be something natural to do. But if you're not in the habit of calling your Rav on a regular basis, when you really need an eitzah, it'll be the last option in your mind to call somebody, ask them, I don't know, I don't feel comfortable or whatever. B'ezrat Hashem will be mazakias to eitzah nechonim, true eitzah. Beno says a true eitzah is Yeshua. Taknenu, as we said, Marev, taknenu be'eitzah tovim milfanecha. Fix us with a good eitzah before you, v'oshi'einu meheira l'man shmecha, and deliver us quickly for the sake of your name. And the eitzah, a good eitzah, is a deliverance. Baruch Hu b'ezrat Hashem zakas to eitzah shleimu at all times. Like this, b'ezrat Hashem, we'll be able to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu, collected, around the tzaddikim, b'ezrat Hashem, zecher to be in Ummah for Shoshana, b'ezrat Hashem. And being that we want to talk before Rosh Chodesh, so I want to wish each and every one of you, people, those are here, those who watch it on YouTube afterwards, a good Chodesh, a good year, a year of health, and wealth, and Hatzlacha, and Tshuva Shleima, Molas Tzadikim. Bezat Hashem, Kol Tuv, Bezat Hashem. We'll be Zerach, Bezat Hashem.